In a crowded courthouse security line, a bailiff dumps a mother's pumped milk into a trash can, humiliating her as her baby cries. A probationary clerk risks his job to store the milk, create a private room, and get her to court on time. The act costs him, but quiet changes ripple through the building, altering routines and restoring a small measure of dignity. Before we get started, tap, like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The bailiff held up a Ziploc of cloudy milk, then tipped it into the trash. Pump parts 2, clear flanges. A tangle of tubing skated off the grey bin and hit the tile. The baby in the soft carrier started wailing. The woman flinched and reached, but the bailiff's palm stopped her. "No liquids," he said. His voice was flat. The line behind her groaned. From the records window, Evan watched the line ripple. He heard the metal detector beep, the belt hum, the tired coughs, the badges clicking. He knew the judge for domestic one didn't wait long. If you were late, you were reset. Weeks. He also knew the slide from orientation, "Do not interfere," with security in white letters over a grainy photo of the front doors. Day 72 of his probation, and he still heard his supervisor's voice, "Stay in your lane." He saw her now at the far desk, eyes flicking up, then away. "That's milk," the woman said, heat in her face. She looked like she hadn't slept. A smear of banana on her hoodie. The baby bounced against her chest, red-faced, fists angry. The bailiff's jaw flexed. "Last week a glass bottle went through, broke. We had blood on the floor." He gestured with 2 fingers. "Move on. You can pump later." She blinked fast, swallowed hard. Pump later where? Evan knew there was no room for that. There was a broom closet with a dead light and a folding chair. That was it. He slid his swivel chair back and stood. His badge swung on its lanyard, the county seal bright against blue. He was careful not to look at his supervisor. He walked fast, heart up in his throat. He'd been in this building 12 weeks, but the front had its own weather. The doors breathed cold air every time someone walked in from the street. He stepped into the gap by the magnetometer and showed his badge. "Clerk's office. I'll take custody and store it." He used the tone he'd heard from older clerks, like they had a key in the sound. The bailiff didn't move his hand. He looked Evan up and down. "We don't store liquids." Evan kept his voice easy. "I'll sign for it. Chain of custody, temporary property. My name." He pointed with his pen at the small rectangle on his badge. He picked up one of the flanges, the plastic warmed from the woman's hands, and dropped it in a clean, clear bag from his pocket. He had a stack for subpoenas. Not the same, but close. "You can't go in the trash." The bailiff's cheeks went pink. His radio hissed on his shoulder. "Sir, step back." "Write me up," Evan said. He pulled a blue nitrile glove from the box by the belt, slid it on, and fished the Ziploc from the top of the can with 2 fingers. He didn't dig. He didn't have to. It was sitting right there, on some napkins. The zip was still sealed. He held it up. "It's sealed. People were watching now." A guy in a suit checked his watch, annoyed. An older woman with a cane said, "Let her through." Someone else muttered, "Rules are rules." The baby hiccuped, then wailed again. Evan scribbled his name on a blank label from his pocket. "Temp hold." He stuck it on the bag. "I'll store this in the staff fridge. I'll sign a receipt. You can see me put it in." He turned to the woman. 5 minutes. "I'll be right back." "Sir," the bailiff said, voice sharpening. Evan didn't wait. He hustled to the break room with the bag. His shoes squeaked on the tile. Vending machines thrummed in the corner. He opened the old fridge and shifted a Tupperware of spaghetti, a half-gallon of milk, someone's yogurt with a name written in Sharpie. He found space on the top shelf. He slid the bag in and closed the door with a soft thump. He grabbed a handful of crushed ice from the soda machine and stuffed it into a paper bag. The paper went damp right away. On the way back, he hit the supply closet. He found a plain white cooler with a cracked handle. There was dust on the lid. He wiped it with his sleeve as he walked. When he got back to the entrance, the bailiff was waiting with his arms folded. The woman was off to the side, bouncing the baby, eyes on the floor. "It's in the fridge," Evan said. He set the cooler on the table. "I'll bring it back in this. It'll stay cold." He looked at the woman. "Do you have your hearing in domestic?" She nodded. "Room 2E. Her voice was small. I'm supposed to be first." He glanced at the wall clock. 8:56. 4 minutes. "Okay, follow me." The bailiff stepped in front of him. "You can't be escorting parties. You're not security." Evan felt his mouth go dry. I'm showing her to the clerk's window. That is my job. He kept his eyes on the door to the hall, not the bailiff's face. A radio crackled, supervisor to the front entrance. He found an empty witness room and stuck a post-it on the door. Occupied. He pulled the shade and checked the chair. Clean enough. He set a box of tissues on the table. No speeches. If you need to pump after, use this. I'll stand by. He pointed down the hall to domestic. Clerk's window on the left. They'll call your name if you tell them. She stood there, a hand on the baby's back. I don't have anyone to watch her. I'll sit outside, he said. You can hear her. He set the cooler by her foot and pointed down the hall. Go, tell them you're here. I'll bring your milk to you right after. He felt the air change behind him. His supervisor walked up, heels clipped on tile. She had her folder tucked to her chest. What are you doing? Her tone was more tired than angry, but her eyes were sharp. Storing milk, he said. Room 2E is calling now. You can't take items from security, she said. She glanced at the bailiff. We have protocols. I put my name on it. Evan kept his hands still. He could feel the sweat under his shirt. I'll be responsible. Turn in your badge, she said. You're off the floor. We'll talk in HR at 9:30. No heat, just decision. She held out her hand. Evan unclipped the lanyard and set it in her palm. It felt like putting down a key you still needed. He nodded once. I'll finish this, he said, voice low. She didn't answer. He walked back to the break room, pulled the bag from the fridge, and tucked it into the cooler with the ice. He carried it down the hall, his stomach a tight knot. He didn't look at the bailiff. He handed the cooler through the open door of room 2E. The woman was in the first row, halfway to standing. She took the handle and set it by her foot, like a small dog. She looked at him and mouthed, "Thank you." Her eyes were wet but steady. He nodded back and moved to the hall. He sat on a plastic chair outside the witness room, his hands folded around nothing. He could hear the low thrum of Court through the wall. The baby fussed once, then went quiet. 15 minutes later, the door to domestic opened. She stepped out with the paper in one hand and the baby in the other. The paper had a tiny blue stamp in the corner. The baby's face was calm, sleepy, mouth slightly open. She looked lighter by about an ounce. They gave me a date. She said, 2 weeks? Okay. He said, there's a room there if you want to pump now. I'll be right outside. He pointed at the post-it. No one will come in. She glanced down the hall, then back at him. Can you hold this? Just for a second. She meant the paper. He took it. Her hand shook. She disappeared into the room and closed the door gently. While she dug for her ID, he saw the folded papers in the side pocket, a bus schedule with green lines, a letter with an orange strip at the top past due, a daycare waitlist form with a number scrawled in pen. On the very top, a photo strip from a drugstore booth, her and the baby, 2 squares of them making faces. He looked away and studied the scuffed tile. The building hummed. Somewhere, a copier jammed. He could hear a low mechanical whine from the drink machine. Security posted a guard by the hall. Not the same bailiff, younger. He kept his eyes on the floor. After a minute he said, quiet so it wouldn't carry. We had a mason jar crack last week. Kids stepped on it. They're jumpy. He shifted his weight. We get blamed for everything. I know, Evan said. He meant it. The door opened. She stepped out with a tired smile and a plastic bottle of pale milk. She slipped it into the cooler, closed the lid, and picked up the baby again. The post-it fluttered on the door behind her. I have to go to work after this, she said. She didn't say where. She didn't have to. Thank you for, She wasn't going to say the word. Yeah, he said. You're okay. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his last $10 bill. He didn't like doing this. It felt weird, but he did it anyway. There's a pharmacy on the corner. Get another bag of ice before you get on the bus. He put the bill on the cooler lid and stepped back so she didn't have to take it from his hand. She hesitated, then slid it under the handle and nodded once. I left a sock under the chair, she said, sudden panic in her tone. He ducked into the witness room and found a tiny sock by the leg of the folding chair. It was white with a blue stripe. He handed it to her. She tucked it into her hoodie pocket like a secret. His supervisor appeared at the end of the hall. HR, she said. She didn't look at the cooler. She didn't look at him either. Now. He went. He sat in a small room with the fake plant and the stack of forms. They used words like procedure and liability. He didn't fight. He said he would sign the write-up. He did. They sent him home for the day without pay. He took the bus. He stared at the ad above the seat about jury duty and felt heat in his face that wouldn't go away. He picked up his own kid from his sister's apartment at 3. His daughter was 2. Hair stuck to her head from a nap. He warmed a bottle with a little ring light on the microwave and thought of the cooler sitting under a courthouse bench. The next week, there was a white igloo cooler on a metal cart by the magnetometer. A laminated sign sat on top. Breast milk storage, see Clerk. The edges of the laminate were ragged where someone had cut it fast with dull scissors. A blue Sharpie looped under the words, "Ask for ice." The bailiff nodded at him when he walked in. Not friendly, not hostile, just different. "Got a softer mat for the trays," he said, like he was talking about the weather. "Stops the rolling." A woman with a pump bag came through at 9:30. The younger guard lifted the cooler lid with 2 fingers like he was opening a book. Steam from the ice puffed a little in the air. He handed her a label and a pen. He didn't make a thing of it. A week later, someone put up a real sign on a door upstairs. Lactation room. The paper wasn't a post-it anymore. The county seal was in the corner. Inside, there was a chair that didn't wobble, and a table without ring stains. There was a power strip that worked. Someone had found a small lamp. At orientation, a new slide appeared in the deck. In between, no cell phones in courtrooms, and where to park. There was a photo of the cooler on the cart. The slide said, "Specialized storage available, ask Clerk." No arrows, no clip art. Evan went back to work like he hadn't been gone. His supervisor signed his form and didn't bring it up. She put a roll of labels in his desk drawer without a word. He found a box of post-its in a color he liked. He saw the woman again once, breathing hard from the stairs, the baby bigger and curious, 2 fingers in her mouth. She didn't stop to talk. She didn't have to. She looked at him for a beat as she moved past. They both nodded. He watched the front doors every morning. People came in heavy and tired. Some left a shade lighter. Not much, an ounce or 2. He looked at the cooler, its little red light winking in the dim lobby. Tape held the laminated card to the lid. A baby sock sat folded on top for a day, and then was gone. The glass above the doors caught a thin line of sun, and the light lay across the floor like a strip of tape. He stood by his window and breathed. It felt like the building was holding still just long enough to let somebody through.